Hey, good afternoon, New World News. Welcome in to the channel, and I want to talk about today the final result of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation, libel, slander trial, whatever you want to call it, and that the verdict was read this week and that there was a final resolution. So let's go over. I'll show you the story, I'll show you the resolution, and then we can talk about it down in the comments section below. What you think should have happened, what did happen, the result, how you feel about it, how you felt about the whole trial in general, and I'll read through as many comments as I can after you guys leave them. As always, appreciate you watching. Let's go over and check out the story now. Okay, so here's the story from this week out of the New York Times. Johnny Depp jury finds that Amber Heard defamed him in her op-ed. When did the word op-ed become a thing? Like 3 years ago, I never even heard the word, and nobody even knew what an op-ed it was. We called it an article. Like, what changed it to an op-ed? An opinion, I don't even know. The jury in Virginia found that Mrs. Heard had damaged her ex-husband's reputation with an op-ed in which she identified herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. So this is, again, out of the New York Times by Julia Jacobs and Adam Bednar on June the 1st, Wednesday, 2022. The libel case lasted 6 weeks. For six weeks, the defamation case that the actor Johnny Depp filed against his ex-wife Amber Heard transfixed the nation, offering a rare instance of high-profile Me Too charges and countercharges, including lurid accusations of physical abuse being hashed out in the public spotlight of a courtroom. On Wednesday, the 7-person jury in Fairfax, Virginia, found that Mr. Depp had been defamed by Ms. Heard when she described herself in a 2018 op-ed in the Washington Post as a public figure representing domestic abuse. Mr. Depp was awarded more than $10 million in damages. Now, originally it was $15 million, but there is a cap on one side of the damages, so the judge had to reduce that down, which we'll talk about in a second. During the trial, Mr. Depp had furiously denied Mrs. Heard's accusations that he had subjected her to repeated physical abuse that included punching, headbutting, and several instances of sexual assault. In a statement after the verdict, he thanked the jury, saying that it gave me my life back. Ms. Heard, who was in the courtroom as the verdict was read, said in a statement afterwards that she was disappointed beyond words by their findings. She's heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of her ex-husband. Ms. Heard did not seem buoyed by the fact that the jury also awarded her $2 million in damages, agreeing that she had been defamed in one instance by a lawyer for Mr. Depp. Such cases are often settled out of court, in part to avoid the public scrutiny. The bitter charges and embarrassing details in this case were aired not only in open court, but also before cameras, and beamed every accusation onto televisions and live streams, where they were turned into memes and debated on social media. The 2018 op-ed that Ms. Heard wrote never mentioned Mr. Depp by name, but he argued that it clearly referred to their marriage, which began in 2015 and fell apart just over a year later, and that it was false. Early drafts of it were prepared by the American Civil Liberties Union, where Mrs. Heard was an ambassador with a focus on women's rights and gender-based violence. The jury agreed and found that it contained several statements that were false and were made with actual malice. She'd actually countersued, claiming she had been defamed in 2020, when one of his lawyers at the time had dismissed her accusations as a hoax in a statement to a British tabloid. The jury found that Mr. Depp had defamed her in one instance, when the lawyer accused her of damaging the couple's penthouse and blaming it on him. The verdict came as a surprise to several legal observers, who noted that the judge in Britain had ruled 2 years ago that there was evidence that Mr. Depp had repeatedly assaulted Ms. Heard. That ruling came in a libel suit that Mr. Depp had filed after The Sun, a British tabloid newspaper, called him a wife-beater. The judge in that case had ruled that the defendants had shown that what they published was substantially true. Mrs. Heard, who's 36, maintained throughout the trial that everything written in the op-ed was true. The combination of star power, sensational details, and cameras in the courtroom turned the trial into an internet obsession. Memes and posts attacking her, some created by superfans of Mr. Depp, proliferated online. Ms. Heard testified that she had received thousands of death threats since the start of the trial and called the online mockery agonizing, sometimes breaking into sobs on the stand. Mrs. Heard testified about more than a dozen times. She said Mr. Depp was violent toward her in a key incident in Australia in 2005. She said Mr. Depp became belligerent after taking the drug MDMA, that's ecstasy, and attacked her, grabbing her by the neck and at one point sexually assaulting her with an object that Miss Heard later determined to be a bottle. I'm looking in his eyes and I don't see him anymore, Miss Heard testified. I've never been so scared in my life. So it goes on and on. You could have millions of Americans weighing in on the evidence, and it just goes on. Depp, who's 58, gave a vastly different account of their relationship and their trip to Australia. which he called her the aggressor, testified had once been a girlfriend who seemed too good to be true, but turned into a partner who would taunt him, call him demeaning names, punch him, and throw objects at him. In Australia, he testified she threw a handle of vodka that exploded on his hand and severed his finger. She denies throwing the bottle at him and said she only ever hit him in self-defense or in defense of her sister. Of course, big time star. Depp is known for Edward Scissorhand, and his biggest, of course, is the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, Captain Jack Sparrow. It's very strange when one day you're Cinderella, so to speak, and then in 0.6 seconds you're Quasimodo, Mr. Depp testified, and I didn't deserve that. So he's saying she basically went back and forth loving him and then hating him, all this sort of stuff. He said that the damage was definitely the $22.5 million. He was promised to reprise his role in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and that was not that did not become a thing because of what she had written. There were tons of witnesses, obviously experts, people called, calling him washed up and a joke. There was embarrassing audio, all this stuff about their drug use, their alcohol use. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say they were both addicted to alcohol and drugs. They both had substance abuse issues. They both were probably violent towards each other. They were both probably not angels, and the jury found that she definitely did what he said she did and acted out of malice, and so she lost. The total judgment was 15, but like I said, the state of Virginia reduces that punitive damages, I believe, down to like $385,000, and then she was awarded $2 million. So his $10 million plus his $385,000, 10.3 minus the $2 million she was awarded is like $8.35 million that she has to pay him. Her reported net worth was like 5 or 6, meaning she doesn't have enough to pay him. Bankruptcy will not work in this case. In fact, it covers the point that if you are found guilty in a libel, a malicious case like this, and you were forced to pay money, bankruptcy will not protect you out of this kind of an act. So she can't even get out of that. And he doesn't want the money. And collecting the money from her would be an absolute nightmare. Coming after it's a nightmare. He doesn't need the money. And so what I read is that most likely he will send her an offer of, something she can handle and take care of it and end it right now, get rid of the lawyer's fees. Probably they were saying something in the neighborhood of her giving him $1 million just out of principle, and then also maybe donating $1 million to charity so that she can pay a couple million, still move on with her life. He moves on. Legal fees, I read somewhere he paid $6 million for lawyers. So we'll have to see if maybe he just asked her to cover that or if they can fight for their legal fees back. I don't know the situation there, but either way, it's over, and he can get back to being Johnny Depp and probably go back to Pirates of the Caribbean. Some people will believe her, some people won't, some people will believe him. Probably never going to change anyone's mind, but it was a toxic relationship that they let go on way too long, and thankfully it is over. So, what do you think about it? Leave your comments down below, and as always, thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. If you could subscribe, it just takes 2 seconds. Hit the subscribe button. Trying to get this YouTube algorithm up to 1,000 subscribers, because that's when they can help your channel, when you can actually monetize, all that sort of stuff. So, really appreciate it if you get the subscribe button, and until the next video, have a wonderful rest of your day.